Ambassador Kim Jun felt the gentle hum of the shuttle engines fade as the craft settled onto the glowing platform. Through the transparent walls, he could see the most beautiful space station he had ever witnessed. Harmony Station stretched out like a living crystal, its surfaces pulsing with soft blue and green lights that seemed to breathe. The air tasted clean and sweet as he stepped out, carrying only a simple diplomatic case. A creature approached him with graceful steps. She stood on two legs like a human, but her body was covered in shimmering feathers that changed color as she moved. Her large eyes sparkled with genuine joy, and when she spoke, her voice sounded like music. "Welcome, Ambassador Kim," she said, spreading her arms wide. "I am Lyris of the Villani people. We have waited so many years to meet your species. The whole galaxy is excited about humanity joining our peaceful community." Jun smiled and bowed respectfully. Inside his mind, he was already counting the security cameras and noting the positions of the guards. But his face showed only warmth and friendship. "Counselor Lyris, this is the greatest honor of my life. My people have dreamed of finding others who share our love of peace and cooperation." They walked together through corridors filled with amazing sights. Beings from dozens of different worlds moved peacefully together. Some looked like walking trees with golden bark. Others were made of what appeared to be living crystal. A few looked almost human, but with skin that glowed softly in the dim light. All of them seemed happy and unafraid. The council chambers were huge and beautiful. The ceiling showed a perfect view of the stars outside, making Jun feel like he was floating in space. Representatives from many worlds sat in comfortable chairs arranged in a large circle. At the center was a raised platform where speakers could address the group. An old creature with 6 arms and wise eyes stood to greet them. His skin was pale purple, and he wore simple robes that marked him as someone important. "Ambassador Kim Jun of Earth," he said in a deep, kind voice. "I am Wisdom Keeper, Vorth of the Thrakri. We have studied your early messages to us. Your people speak of art, science, and philosophy. We are eager to learn from such an advanced culture." Jun activated a small device from his case. Holographic images filled the air around them, showing Earth's greatest achievements. Beautiful paintings by masters like Da Vinci and Picasso. Concert halls where orchestras played Mozart and Beethoven. Libraries filled with the wisdom of thousands of years. Universities where young people learned about the wonders of the universe. He was very careful about what he showed them. The images displayed museums and schools, peaceful cities with parks and gardens, children playing in safe neighborhoods. He never showed the military bases hidden underground. He never mentioned the weapons factories or the war colleges where Earth's greatest generals had learned their deadly skills. A delegate made entirely of living crystal leaned forward, her voice tinkling like wind chimes. "Your species has created such beauty," she whispered. "You must have found the secret of true harmony to build such wonderful things." "Harmony?" Jun repeated the word slowly, as if it meant everything to him. "Yes, that is what we value most. We believe that all intelligent beings should work together for the good of everyone." The session continued for several hours. The alien representatives asked many questions about human culture, science, and philosophy. Jun answered each one carefully, always emphasizing humanity's peaceful nature and desire to learn from others. He spoke about Earth's environmental protection programs but never mentioned the wars that had nearly destroyed the planet. He discussed human medicine and its goal of helping people, but never talked about the biological weapons that same knowledge had created. As the formal meeting ended, Counselor Lyris approached him privately. Her feathers had shifted to a warm, golden color that Jun somehow understood meant friendship and trust. "Ambassador," she said quietly, "I hope you will not think us too forward, but the council has already discussed a gift for your people." Jun's heart began to beat faster, but he kept his expression calm and curious. "A gift? Counselor, your welcome has already been more generous than we could have hoped. There are several star systems on the outer edge of our territory, she explained, pulling up a holographic map. They have beautiful worlds that could support human life. Good soil for farming, clean water, safe atmospheres. We would be honored to offer them to your people as a gesture of friendship between our species. June studied the map, his trained, military mind immediately recognizing the strategic value of the systems she was showing him. They were perfectly positioned to control major trade routes and provided that excellent basis for launching operations deeper into Concord space. It was better than anything he had dared to hope for. Counselor Lidus, he said, his voice thick with what sounded like emotion. Your generosity moves me deeply. I must contact my government immediately to share this incredible offer. I know they will be as overwhelmed as I am by your kindness. That night, alone in the comfortable guest quarters they had provided, June composed a coded message to Earth. His fingers moved quickly over the encrypted communicator as he wrote the words. That would doom the peaceful Concord to conquest and slavery. The sheep have opened their pasture to the wolves. Phase 1 complete. The massive transport ship, New Soul, drifted slowly through space, toward the green and blue planet below. Captain Lee Young stood on the bridge, watching two beautiful alien ships move alongside them like protective guardians. The Villani escort vessels looked more like living creatures than machines, their smooth hulls pulsing with gentle lights. Colony Ship 7 asking for permission to land, said Communications Officer Park Soo-jin, into her microphone. She made her voice sound nervous and excited, like a civilian who had never been in space before. In reality, she was a trained military officer who could pilot a fighter jet through an asteroid field. Permission granted, honored friends from Earth, came the sweet reply from the planet's surface. The alien voice sounded like singing. May your new homes bring you joy and your families grow strong on our world. Captain Young almost felt sorry for them. Almost. The aliens had no idea they were welcoming an invasion force. The colonists sleeping in the passenger sections were actually soldiers trained in reconnaissance and sabotage. The cargo holds that supposedly contained farming equipment and construction materials were packed with hidden weapons and military supplies. As their ship entered the planet's atmosphere, Young could see the Villani cities spread out below, like gardens. Everything looked peaceful and beautiful. There were no military bases, no weapon platforms, no defensive shields. These people had lived in peace for so long they had forgotten how to prepare for war. The ship landed in a field of purple flowers near the main city. The local Villani governor was waiting with a crowd of curious aliens, all eager to meet their new human neighbors. Colony Administrator Han Binho stepped off the ship wearing his biggest smile and carrying gifts from Earth. We are so grateful that you have welcomed us to your beautiful world, Han said, shaking hands with the feathered governor. We look forward to working together and learning from your wisdom. The governor's feathers turned bright gold with happiness. Your people bring such interesting knowledge. We are excited to see what wonderful things we can build together. If only you knew what we're really planning to build, Han thought to himself. But his smile never changed. Over the following weeks, human ships arrived at 17 different worlds throughout Concord space. Each time, the aliens welcomed them with celebrations and gifts. Each time, the humans thanked them and promised friendship and cooperation. And each time, the humans immediately began building what they called research stations in the most important strategic locations. The aliens thought the humans were amazingly efficient workers. They were impressed by how quickly the research facilities went up and how well designed they were. They never asked why every building had such powerful communication equipment. They never wondered why the humans always chose hilltops and mountain peaks for their construction sites. Places that gave perfect views of roads, spaceports, and military installations. Meanwhile, Ambassador Kim Jun traveled from world to world with his new partner, Ambassador Choi Mis. They visited the great engineering planets of the Thrakari, where massive machines built starships and space stations. They toured the crystal mines of the Zephyrians, where living gems grew in underground caverns. They studied the farming worlds of the Villani, where food was grown to feed billions of people across the galaxy. Everywhere they went, the ambassadors asked lots of questions. They wanted to know about defensive systems, fleet movements, population, numbers, and resource storage. The aliens were happy to share everything, thinking that knowledge was meant to be freely given to friends. On the Thrakari homeworld, Elder Vorth invited the human ambassadors to a formal dinner. The old alien's 6 arms moved gracefully as he served traditional foods and told stories of his people's history. "You humans are such curious people," he said, with obvious admiration. "You ask so many detailed questions about our security systems and military capabilities. Such natural explorers." June smiled warmly, while his mind recorded every detail of the conversation. "We believe that when friends share knowledge, everyone becomes stronger. Understanding how you maintain such perfect peace throughout the galaxy will help us learn to be better members of the Concord." That night in their guest quarters, Menesio sent an encrypted message back to Earth. Her report was short but devastating. "All major targets have been identified and mapped. Their fleet positions are known. Their defensive capabilities are minimal. They have no understanding of military deception or strategic thinking. We could conquer their entire civilization in 1 week." Far away on Earth, Admiral Kang Duhayan sat in his command center, reading intelligence reports from across Concord space. The news was better than he had dared to hope. The alien defensive fleet was a joke: exploration ships with mining lasers and construction equipment designed for peaceful work rather than combat. Some of their largest vessels carried no weapons at all. His own fleet waited in the darkness between stars, hidden by advanced stealth technology. Hundreds of true warships, built for one purpose: the complete destruction of any enemy. Soon, very soon, these naive aliens would learn what it meant to invite predators into their peaceful garden. General Song Haijin entered the command center with the latest tactical reports. "How much longer do we keep pretending to be there, friends?" she asked. Duhayan smiled coldly as he studied the star charts showing human positions throughout alien space. "Ambassador Kim says he needs 2 more months to get all our people in position. Then we show these trusting fools exactly what they've welcomed into their homes." The trap was almost ready to spring. The small patrol ship Crystal Harmony moved quietly through space toward the human research station on the distant planet. Lieutenant Shalvik, whose body was made of living crystal that sparkled in the starlight, watched her instruments with growing confusion. The energy readings from the human facility were all wrong. "Something is not right here," she told her. "Captain," her voice ringing like bells, "these energy patterns are not from scientific equipment. They look like ... weapons." Captain Zareth, an older Zephyrian with deep blue crystal skin, frowned at the readings. "That cannot be correct. The humans are peaceful researchers. Perhaps their equipment is different from ours." But as they moved closer to the planet's surface, Shalvik's scans showed more disturbing details. "Captain, I am reading plasma cannons, missile launchers, and defensive shields. This entire facility is built like a military fortress, not a research station." Before they could turn around and leave, something terrible happened. Hidden panels on the human buildings suddenly opened like the eyes of a dangerous animal. Weapon barrels pointed directly at their small ship. A voice came over their communication system, but it was not the friendly tone they had grown used to from humans. "Unknown ships, you are in restricted military space," the voice said coldly. "Leave immediately, or we will destroy you." "Captain," Liu Dongwook's voice no longer carried any pretense of scientific curiosity or diplomatic politeness. He spoke like a military commander giving orders to enemies. The change was so complete and shocking that both Zephyrians felt their crystal bodies trembling with fear. "We mean no harm," Shalvik transmitted quickly. We are Concord patrol vessels. This is Concord space. We were just investigating unusual energy readings. This was Concord space, Liu replied with frightening calmness. Now it belongs to the human military. You have exactly 10 seconds to start flying away from here, or my weapons will turn your ship into space dust. The Zephyrian patrol ship fled as fast as their engines could carry them, sending emergency messages to every Concord station and planet they could reach. But they were not the only ones making this horrible discovery. Across 17 different star systems, other patrol ships and civilian vessels were finding the same shocking truth. The human research stations were actually military bases. The scientific equipment was advanced weapons technology. The peaceful colonists were trained soldiers. Every single human facility in Concord space was revealing itself to be part of a massive military operation that had been hidden for months. On Harmony Station, emergency alarms screamed through the corridors as panicked reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Concord Council gathered in emergency session, their faces showing confusion, fear, and growing anger. At the center of the chamber stood Ambassador Kim Jun, but he was no longer the friendly diplomat they had welcomed months earlier. The change in his appearance was subtle but terrifying. His smile was gone, replaced by the cold expression of a predator who no longer needed to hide. His posture was different, more aggressive, more threatening. The peaceful aliens in the chamber found themselves instinctively moving away from him, their ancient survival instincts finally recognizing danger. "You lied to us," whispered Counselor Lyris, her beautiful feathers now gray with shock and fear. "You spoke of peace and friendship while you were preparing for war. You deceived us completely." June looked at her with eyes that showed no guilt or shame. "I told you exactly what you wanted to hear," he said simply. "You invited us into your territory. You showed us your weaknesses. You gave us detailed information about all your defenses and resources. Did you really think a species that survived long enough to reach the stars did it by being as naive as you are?" Elder Vorth's 6 arms shook with age and betrayal. His wise old eyes were filled with tears. "We welcomed you as honored guests. We offered you friendship and trust. You welcomed apex predators into a flock of helpless sheep," June interrupted harshly. "What happened next was inevitable from the moment you made contact with us. The only question was how long we would continue pretending to be civilized." As he spoke, reports continued pouring in from across Concord space. Human ships were emerging from hiding places throughout the galaxy. But these were not the small diplomatic vessels or modest colony ships the aliens had seen before. These were massive warships covered in weapons, their dark hulls designed for one purpose: destroying enemies. The true scope of humanity's deception became clear. While ambassadors had traveled from world to world speaking of peace and cooperation, an entire invasion fleet had been secretly positioning itself for a coordinated attack. Every friendly visit, every cultural exchange, every research station had been part of a military operation planned with incredible precision. "What do you want from us?" Lyris asked, her voice breaking with despair. June's smile returned, but now it was the smile of a hunter who had cornered his prey. "We want everything. Your worlds, your resources, your complete surrender. You have seen what happens to those who discover our true nature too early. Any resistance will be met with the full power of human military technology, perfected through thousands of years of warfare against our own species." Across dozens of peaceful worlds, aliens looked up at their skies to see the dark shapes of human warships blocking out their suns. The predators had finally revealed themselves, and the sheep realized they had invited their own destruction. The massive human warship, Sol's Hammer, hung in space like a dark metal mountain, its weapons pointed at the beautiful world of Valari. Prime below, Admiral Kang Duhayan stood on the bridge, watching as the Villani defensive fleet tried desperately to form a battle line to protect their home. The alien ships moved with the same graceful coordination they had used for centuries of peaceful exploration. Their formations were beautiful to watch, like a dance performed among the stars. But these were not warships built for fighting. They were exploration vessels, research ships, and cargo transports hastily armed with mining equipment and construction tools. Target their largest ship first, Du Hyan ordered Captain Yoon, Sierra. Cut off their command structure immediately. The human fleet opened fire with weapons designed to destroy entire asteroids. Brilliant beams of plasma energy tore through the Vellani bioships like paper. The aliens' return fire consisted of mining, lasers and industrial cutting beams. Tools meant for peaceful work that barely left scratches on the humans. Military armor. The battle was over before it truly began. In exactly 4 hours and 37 minutes, the entire Vellani defensive fleet was either destroyed or fleeing in panic. Burning wreckage fell from orbit like metal rain, lighting up the sky over the planet's beautiful cities. On the surface of Vellari Prime, Governor Huluk watched the destruction from her palace balcony. The peaceful leader had never seen war before, and the sight of her people's ships burning in space filled her with horror she could not understand. How had the friendly humans she had welcomed turned into these terrible destroyers? The human cargo ships that had visited her world every month were now revealing their true purpose. What she had thought were supply vessels were actually military transports. Fighters poured from their hidden bays like angry insects, and soldiers in powered armor dropped from orbit to surround every major city. Communications officer Park Soo-jin, who had once pretended to be a nervous civilian pilot, now coordinated the invasion with cold military precision. All primary targets secured, she reported to the command ship. Population centers surrounded, local forces offering no significant resistance. The same pattern was repeating across 17 star systems at exactly the same time. The Thrakari engineering worlds, famous throughout the galaxy for building the most beautiful starships, fell when their defensive systems proved useless. Their weapons were designed to push away asteroids and space debris, not fight against military attack craft. The Zephyrian crystal mines surrendered without even trying to fight. The humans demonstrated their power by using orbital weapons to shatter ancient crystal formations on empty moons, destroying in seconds what had taken thousands of years to grow. The message was clear: resist, and watch your world burn. General Song Haijin commanded the ground forces that landed on Kepler-4 for to see the first world the humans had colonized. Here, a group of young Vellani had tried to organize some kind of resistance movement. They lasted exactly 12 minutes. They are trying to use farming knowledge as weapons, reported Colonel Beisuho, sounding almost amused by their efforts. Poisoning water supplies, using local animals to attack our troops. Creative thinking, but completely useless against trained soldiers. End it quickly, but make sure everyone can see what happens, Haijin ordered. The other worlds need to understand what resistance costs. The orbital bombardment of the Vellani resistance base was visible from half the planet. The explosion lit up the night sky like a second sun, and the message reached every world in Concord space within hours. Fighting back meant death, not just for the fighters, but for anyone near them, in less than 1 week. A civilization that had lived in peace for thousands of years was completely conquered. The aliens had never learned how to fight real wars because they had never needed to. Humans had spent their entire history fighting each other, perfecting every aspect of warfare from strategy to psychology. Elder Vorth, the wise old Thrakar, who had once welcomed human ambassadors with such joy, now sat as a prisoner aboard the human command ship. His 6 arms hung limp with defeat as he faced Ambassador Kim Jun in what had once been his own comfortable quarters. Why? The old alien asked simply. Your people showed us such beautiful art, such wisdom and knowledge. Why did you choose conquest instead of friendship? June stood by the window, looking out at the stars that now belonged to humanity. His reflection in the glass looked like a ghost, because friendship is something only the strong can afford. Elder, we tried peace once on our own world. It almost destroyed us completely. The survivors learned an important lesson. The universe does not reward kindness. It rewards strength. Reports continued coming in from the last few systems, still fighting. Within days, even they would surrender or be destroyed. A galactic civilization that had existed for millennia was ending, replaced by human rule in less than a week. The Concord's age of peace was over. Humanity now controlled dozens of worlds, billions of alien subjects, and resources beyond imagination. The predators had successfully hunted the sheep, and there was no one left to challenge them. As June watched the stars, he wondered briefly if they had done the right thing. Then he remembered Earth's dying oceans and poisoned air, and he knew the answer. His species would survive, whatever the cost to others. The age of human dominion had begun. 6 months had passed since the Great War ended, and Harmony Station looked completely different now. Governor General Kim June stood in what had once been the Concord Council chambers, watching human children play games where alien representatives had once made peaceful decisions. Their happy laughter bounced off walls that now displayed Earth's blue and white flag next to captured alien banners. The room that had once symbolized galactic peace now celebrated human victory. Administrator Choi Minesio walked up to him, carrying the daily reports. He no longer wore the simple robes of a diplomat, but instead the sharp military uniform of the colonial authority. "Everything is going better than we planned, Governor General," he said, with satisfaction. "The Villani farmers have increased our food production by 30%. The Thrakari engineers have finished building new defensive systems around our most important worlds." "What about resistance movements?" June asked, though he already suspected the answer. "Almost nothing," Minesio replied. "The bombing demonstration on Kepler 442c worked perfectly. Most alien populations have accepted their new position in our empire. The Zephyrians are even volunteering to work extra hours in their crystal mines." June nodded as he watched his 8-year-old daughter, Kim So-young, playing with alien children in the garden below. The alien children had been taught to call her young mistress and to bow when she spoke to them. Once, the sight would have made him feel ashamed, back when he had actually believed in peaceful cooperation between species. Such a scene would have horrified him, but that man felt like a stranger now. The truth was much more complicated than simple conquest for the sake of power. Earth had been dying slowly for decades. The oceans were poisoned, the air was toxic, and too many people were competing for too few resources. Climate change and environmental destruction had given humanity, maybe, 50 years before complete collapse. The Concorde had not just been an opportunity for expansion. It had been humanity's only hope for survival. "What is the latest news from Earth?" June asked. "The final refugee ships arrived yesterday," Minesio answered, checking his electronic tablet. 17 million humans have been successfully moved to 43 different worlds across our new territory. Earth's population is now small enough to be sustainable, and the planet is beginning to heal. Captain Lee Young entered the chamber and gave a sharp military salute. "Governor General, our exploration teams have finished surveying the outer rim. We have found 12 more star systems that would be perfect for human colonization. The local alien species are primitive. They have not yet developed space travel, so they pose no immediate military threat," June observed. "Proceed with our standard first contact procedures. Diplomatic approach, cultural exchange, building trust slowly. The same strategy we used with the Concorde, sir?" Young asked. "Exactly the same method," June confirmed with a cold smile. "It worked perfectly before. It will work perfectly again." As the day ended and darkness fell over Harmony Station, June went to his private living quarters. These were the same rooms where Elder Vorth had once welcomed him as an honored guest, back when the old alien had believed humans were peaceful friends. Now, the Thrakkery Elder was dead, killed during the brief resistance on his homeworld. On June's desk lay the final military reports from the conquest. The numbers told the story of humanity's efficient victory: 847,000 aliens dead across all battles, compared to only 12,000 human casualties. By the standards of Earth's historical wars, it had been remarkably one-sided. His personal communicator made a soft, chiming sound, indicating an important message. It was from Admiral Kong Du-Hyun, who commanded the human deep space exploration fleet. Our long-range scouts have discovered something interesting, the message read. There is a massive galactic confederation 3 sectors away from us. Initial estimates suggest millions of worlds and hundreds of different species. They call themselves the Eternal Alliance. They appear to be even more peaceful and trusting than the Concord was. What are your orders for first contact? June smiled as he typed his response. Begin standard diplomatic approach immediately. Prepare ambassadorio Jesung for a peaceful first contact mission. Our message should emphasize that humanity seeks friendship, cooperation, and mutual benefit with all civilized species in the galaxy. He sent the message and walked to his window, looking out at the twin moons rising over the station. Below him, human cities were growing next to the ruins of alien buildings. In the gardens, human children played while young aliens learned to serve their new masters. Somewhere far away in the darkness between stars, other innocent civilizations waited unknowingly for humanity's next peaceful diplomatic mission. The predators had perfected their disguise. They had learned exactly how to appear harmless and friendly to species that had never experienced real warfare. And the galaxy was full of trusting sheep who still believed in the goodness of strangers offering gifts and friendship. The Eternal Alliance would welcome humanity with the same joy and trust that the Concord had shown. They would offer resources, territory, and friendship to these new peaceful neighbors from Earth. And when the time was right, they would discover the same terrible truth the Concord had learned too late. The age of human expansion had only just begun.